They thought you were easy. Not strong, not dangerous, not someone who could walk away. And that's exactly where they made their first mistake. Because avoidant personalities don't chase weakness, they exploit predictability. And you were predictable. At least that's what they believed. You replied fast. You stayed calm. You didn't create drama. To them, that didn't look like strength. It looked like availability. And in the psychology of an avoidant, availability equals low value. Not because it actually is, but because their brain is wired to associate emotional closeness with loss of control. There's real science behind this. Avoidant attachment patterns are deeply connected to the nervous system, specifically how the brain processes threat and emotional risk. When someone gets too close, their system doesn't read it as comfort, it reads it as danger. So what do? They pull back, they detach, they test. And that's where you came in. They thought you'd chase. They thought you'd over-explain, over-invest, over-prove your worth. Because that's what most people do, but you didn't. And that broke their script. See, avoidants don't fear losing people. They fear losing control. They didn't pull away because you lacked value. They pulled away because you gave them something their brain doesn't know how to process: consistent emotional safety. And that sounds backwards, doesn't it? Because everything you've been taught tells you that being present, being kind, being available should bring someone closer. But in the psychology of an avoidant mind, it does the opposite. It activates a threat response, not a visible one, not loud, not dramatic, silent, internal, automatic, and backed by real neuroscience. Inside the avoidant brain, emotional closeness doesn't register as comfort, it registers as risk. Studies in attachment psychology have shown that individuals with avoidant attachment patterns exhibit reduced activity in regions of the brain associated with emotional bonding, while simultaneously showing increased activation in areas linked to self-protection and emotional suppression. In simple terms, when things get closer, their brain starts preparing to escape, not because of you, but because of what closeness represents: loss of independence, loss of control, loss of emotional safety. So when you show up consistently, when you reply without games, when you don't create chaos or uncertainty, you think you're building trust. But what you're actually doing inside their perception is removing distance. And distance is what makes them feel safe. This is where most people get it completely wrong. They assume that if someone pulls away, it must mean they need more effort, more reassurance, more attention, more proof. But with an avoidant, more effort doesn't create attraction. It creates pressure, and pressure triggers withdrawal. There's a biological reason for this. Avoidant individuals tend to have a more reactive stress system when it comes to emotional dependency. Their cortisol levels, your body's primary stress hormone, can spike when they feel someone is getting too close, too fast. That means your consistency, your presence, your openness isn't calming them. It's overwhelming them. And here's the part that's hard to accept. They may not even be aware of it. From the outside, it looks like disinterest, cold behavior, mixed signals, emotional distance. But internally, it's regulation. They are trying to bring themselves back to a level where they feel in control again. And control is everything to them. So when they saw you as easy, it wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were predictable. You showed up the same way every time. No emotional spikes, no uncertainty, no challenge to their internal system. And in most normal dynamics, that would be healthy. But in this one, predictability lowers perceived value. Because their brain isn't asking, is this person good for me? It's asking, is this person going to take away my freedom? That's the filter. That's the lens everything passes through. And when you're always available, always understanding, always there, you unknowingly answer that question with yes, I might, not because it's true, but because their wiring interprets closeness as a threat to autonomy. So what happens next becomes almost predictable. They create distance. They delay responses. They become emotionally inconsistent, not to hurt you, but to restore balance inside themselves. And if you react emotionally to that shift, if you chase, question, or try to pull them back in, you confirm their fear. Now the pressure is real. Now the threat feels justified, and they pull back even more. This cycle repeats over and over again in thousands of relationships. One person trying to get closer, the other trying to breathe, and neither one understanding why it feels so difficult. But here's where everything changes. The moment you stop seeing availability as your strength and start understanding emotional control as your power. Because avoidants don't respond to effort, they respond to space. Not forced space, not manipulative silence, but genuine emotional independence. When you don't need constant reassurance, when you don't react to their distance, when your mood, your energy, your identity stay stable regardless of their behavior, something shifts inside their perception. You're no longer predictable, and unpredictability captures attention. Now their brain has something new to process, because you're close but not consuming, present but not demanding, interested but not dependent. And that combination is rare. It doesn't trigger their defense system, it calms it. Research in emotional regulation shows that people who maintain internal stability during uncertain social interactions are perceived as higher value, more secure and more attractive over time, not because they try harder, but because they signal safety without pressure. And that's the difference. You don't remove your availability completely. You remove the emotional urgency behind it. You stop making your presence feel like a demand and start making it feel like a choice. Because when your attention is something you give, not something you need to be returned, you shift the entire dynamic. Now they're not trying to escape you. They're trying to understand you. Why aren't you reacting? Why aren't you chasing? Why do you seem okay either way? And those questions create curiosity. Curiosity leads to attention. Attention leads to attachment. But not the kind built on pressure, the kind built on emotional safety. And here's the truth most people miss. Avoidants don't lack feelings. They lack tolerance for emotional intensity. So when you lower that intensity, without lowering your value, you become someone their system can finally stay around. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped overwhelming what they couldn't handle. And suddenly, the person who thought you were easy to play realizes they were dealing with something completely different. Not weakness, not neediness, but controlled, grounded, emotional strength. And by the time they recognize it, you're no longer the one being evaluated. You're the one setting the standard. Silence looks powerful until you understand what real power actually is. Because ignoring someone isn't control, it's avoidance. And avoidance is exactly the behavior you're trying to stop attracting. This is where most people lose the game without realizing it. They think pulling back, disappearing, or going cold will suddenly make the other person chase. Sometimes it does, but not for the reason you think. It doesn't create respect. It creates confusion. And confusion isn't attraction, it's instability. Real power doesn't come from disappearing. It comes from staying present without losing control of yourself. That distinction changes everything, because the human brain is constantly scanning for emotional patterns. Every interaction, every message, every pause is being analyzed at a subconscious level. And one of the most important signals your brain looks for is emotional consistency. Why? Because consistency equals safety. And safety is the foundation of all connection. Neuroscience shows that when we interact with someone emotionally stable, the brain reduces activity in the amygdala region responsible for fear and threat detection. At the same time, it increases activity in areas associated with trust and bonding. In simple terms, calm energy makes people feel safe. But here's the twist. When you replace calm presence with silence as a strategy, you remove that safety. And now the brain has to fill in the gaps. Was that intentional? Are they upset? Did I do something wrong? Uncertainty spikes. And when uncertainty rises, cortisol, the stress hormone, follows. Now the interaction isn't grounded anymore. It's reactive. And reactive dynamics never create real attraction. They create short-term emotional spikes, highs and lows, push and pull. But those patterns don't build respect. They build anxiety. So when people say, just ignore them, what they're really doing is teaching you to mirror instability. And that keeps you stuck in the same cycle. Because real control isn't about what you do externally. It's about what you manage internally. Emotional regulation. That's the skill no one talks about, but it's the one that changes everything. It's your ability to feel the urge to react and not act on it. To notice the discomfort without trying to immediately fix it. To stay grounded even when the situation isn't. And there's hard science behind why this is so powerful. Studies in psychology show that individuals who demonstrate high emotional regulation are perceived as more dominant, more attractive, and more trustworthy. Not because they say more, but because they don't lose control. Control in human behavior isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the pause before the response. It's the decision to not send that message immediately. It's the ability to sit with uncertainty without letting it dictate your actions. Because the moment you react impulsively, You give away your power. Your emotions are no longer yours. They're controlled by the situation. And people can feel that. They may not consciously understand it, but subconsciously they recognize instability. And instability lowers perceived value. Not because you're not worthy, but because unpredictability in emotions signals risk. So what does real power actually look like? It looks like engagement without attachment. You respond, but you don't chase. You show interest, but you don't seek validation. You stay present, but you don't depend on the outcome. That balance creates something incredibly rare: emotional clarity. And clarity is magnetic, because in a world full of mixed signals, overreactions, and emotional noise, the person who stays steady stands out immediately. Research on interpersonal attraction consistently shows that emotional stability ranks higher than physical appearance when it comes to long-term interest. Let that sink in. Not looks, not status, stability. Because stability feels safe, and safety allows connection to grow. But there's another layer to this. When you regulate your emotions instead of reacting, you disrupt expectations. Most people expect a reaction. They expect the double text, the questioning, the need for reassurance. So when that reaction doesn't come, their brain pauses. And that pause creates attention. Attention leads to curiosity. And curiosity is the beginning of attraction. But this only works if it's real. If your silence is just a strategy, if underneath it you're still anxious, still waiting, still hoping for a response, that energy leaks through, and people pick up on it, because human communication isn't just verbal, it's emotional. Tone, timing, behavior patterns, they all reveal what's happening beneath the surface. So you can't fake control. You have to build it. And that starts with awareness. Noticing when you feel the urge to react. Noticing when your mind starts creating stories. Noticing when your emotions try to take over your actions. And choosing not to follow them blindly. That's discipline. And discipline is attractive, not in an obvious way, not instantly. But over time, it builds something far more powerful than attention. It builds respect, because respect comes from consistency in behavior. Not perfection, but control. The ability to stay the same person regardless of the situation. And when someone sees that, they feel it. They may not say it out loud, but they recognize it. This person doesn't get shaken easily. This person doesn't chase validation. This person doesn't lose themselves under pressure. And that perception changes how they treat you. Because people don't respond to what you say. They respond to what you demonstrate. So when you replace reaction with regulation, you stop feeding unstable dynamics. You stop rewarding inconsistency. You stop playing a game built on emotional spikes. And instead, you create an environment where only one thing can grow: mutual respect. And here's the final piece most people overlook. Emotional regulation isn't just about influencing others. It's about protecting yourself. Because every time you react impulsively, you reinforce a pattern inside your own brain. A pattern of dependence, of needing external validation to feel stable. But when you regulate, when you stay grounded, you teach your brain something different, that you're okay regardless of the outcome. And that's freedom. Not the kind that comes from control over others, but the kind that comes from control over yourself. And once you reach that point, you realize something powerful. You don't need to ignore anyone. You don't need to play games. You don't need to prove your value, because it's already there in the way you think, in the way you respond, in the way you remain steady when everything else tries to pull you out of alignment. And that's the kind of power that doesn't demand attention. It commands it silently. You thought the goal was to win them, to finally break through their distance, to make them choose you, to prove that what you offered was real. But that belief is where the loss begins. Because the moment your focus shifts from who you are to how they feel about you, you start negotiating your own value. And the brain doesn't ignore that. It records it. Every time you over-explain, every time you tolerate inconsistency, every time you stay when your standards are being quietly broken, your nervous system learns something dangerous, that your worth is conditional. And that conditioning has consequences far deeper than one relationship. Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure to unpredictable emotional rewards, what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, creates one of the strongest behavioral addictions known to the human brain. Stronger than many substances, stronger than logic. That's where, because the dopamine system, the same system involved in addiction, gets activated not by consistency, but by uncertainty. Not knowing when the next moment of attention, affection, or validation will come keeps you hooked. And slowly, Without realizing it, you stop choosing them. You start needing them. That shift is subtle, but it's everything. Because once need replaces choice, you lose your frame. You stop asking, is this right for me? And start asking, how do I keep this from slipping away? And that question changes your behavior. You become more tolerant, more available, more willing to ignore what once would have been a clear boundary. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is trying to resolve the uncertainty, trying to get back to that moment when things felt good again. But here's the truth most people avoid. The more you chase that feeling, the further you move away from yourself. And your brain feels that too. Research in self-concept and identity shows that when your actions consistently go against your internal values, the brain triggers stress responses similar to physical pain. That discomfort you feel, that tension in your chest, that quiet sense that something isn't right, that's not overthinking. That's misalignment. And the longer it continues, the more your self-worth erodes. Not all at once, but slowly, through small compromises, small silences, small moments where you chose connection over self-respect, until one day you don't recognize your own behavior anymore. And that's the real cost, not losing them, losing yourself. Because when your identity becomes tied to someone else's approval, you become emotionally dependent on something you can't control. And the brain hates lack of control. It increases anxiety. It heightens sensitivity to rejection. It keeps you in a constant state of alertness, watching for changes in tone, timing, behavior, trying to predict what comes next. But prediction doesn't create safety. It creates exhaustion. And over time, that emotional exhaustion turns into something deeper. Detachment from yourself. You stop asking what you want. You stop trusting your own instincts. You stop honoring your own boundaries. All in an effort to maintain a connection that was never stable to begin with. And here's the part that changes everything. The moment you step out of that cycle, the moment you stop trying to win them, you take your power back. Not in a loud way, not in a dramatic exit, but in a quiet shift of focus from them back to you. Because real strength isn't in convincing someone to stay. It's in knowing you'll be okay if they don't. And that's not just philosophy, it's biology. Studies on emotional independence show that individuals who maintain a strong internal sense of self have lower cortisol levels during relational stress. They recover faster from rejection. They make clearer decisions because their identity isn't under threat. They're not losing themselves in the process. They're staying anchored. And that anchoring creates something rare: emotional resilience, the ability to experience connection without being controlled by it, to care without collapsing, to engage without attachment to outcome. And that's where the real shift happens. Because when you stop trying to win someone, you start evaluating them. Are they consistent? Are they respectful? Are they aligned with the life you're building? And those questions change your behavior. You stop over-investing. You stop chasing clarity from someone who thrives on ambiguity. You stop accepting less than what you know you deserve. Not out of ego, but out of self-respect. And self-respect is visible in your tone, in your timing, in your willingness to walk away from what doesn't meet your standards. And that visibility changes how people respond to you. Because humans are wired to recognize value based on behavior, not words. So when your actions reflect stability, boundaries, and self-trust, people adjust. They either rise to meet that standard or they remove themselves. And either outcome is a win, because you're no longer compromising who you are to maintain a connection. You're allowing the connection to meet you at your level. And if it doesn't, you let it go. Not out of anger, not out of fear, but out of clarity. And clarity is powerful because it removes confusion. It removes overthinking. It removes the constant internal negotiation between what you feel and what you accept. You become decisive, grounded, unshakable in your sense of self. And that's the moment everything changes. Not just in how others see you, but in how you experience yourself. Because you're no longer waiting to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And that decision, that internal alignment, is something no external validation can replace. So no, the goal was never to win them. It was to never lose yourself in the process. Because once you lose that, no relationship can give it back. But once you protect it, everything else becomes optional. And that's real power. Quiet, steady, unmovable. The kind that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't prove. Because it already knows its value and walks accordingly.